a dog with golden fur, had been the only pet in his big house until his owners decided to rescue a cat named Sabrina. Sabrina arrived in a small crate. Carl wagged his tail happily because he was excited to meet the new member of the family. Sabrina, a black cat with white paws and a white chest, slowly walked out from the crate and looked around the room suspiciously. Carl barked. He wanted to say hello, but Sabrina hissed in response. The owners scooped her up and took her to the kitchen to be fed. As Carl watched Sabrina eat her meal, he couldn't understand why she didn't want to talk to him. As soon as she finished eating, she leapt onto the small ledge of the window to watch the birds. She never once looked at Carl, who became determined to make friends with Sabrina. He tried several strategies to win her over. First, Carl prepared a PowerPoint presentation to highlight all of the similarities between them. He wanted Sabrina to know that they could be friends because they had so much in common. They both had 4 working limbs and 4 good paws. They both had tails, 2 ears, and 2 eyes. They were both mammals, so they were warm-blooded and had fur. However, Sabrina shrugged off each one of these similarities and indicated how very different they were. Carl had golden fur while she had black fur. She liked to sharpen her nails by scratching them against the couch, while Carl liked to use his paws to dig up dirt. Sabrina liked to catch mice, but Carl was terrified of mice. Her favorite meal was tuna. Carl liked burgers. She liked to sleep until noon and take several naps throughout the day. Carl, on the other hand, preferred to wake up at 5 a.m., go on walks, wag his tail, and jump around all day. Sabrina walked away from the PowerPoint presentation, flicking her tail behind her. She remained unconvinced by Carl's argument and continued to ignore him. Her aloofness made Carl even more eager to become her friend. Carl considered the situation. Certainly, his charm had won Carl many friends in the past. Carl's optimistic personality was attractive to so many, but it hadn't been enough to get Sabrina's attention. He decided to show Sabrina what an interesting and accomplished person he was. Surely Carl's great skills and talents would earn Sabrina's friendship. The next time Sabrina was looking out the window, Carl went outside to the pool. He ran around it 3 times at top speeds, then stepped out onto the diving board. Carl bounced to gain height, and then he leapt high into the air, flipped several times, and dove straight into the water without much splash. Olympic judges would have given him a 10 for a dive like that, but Sabrina was unimpressed. She jumped off the window ledge and curled up to take a nap. Next, Carl tried to get Sabrina to play games with him. Carl determined that the reason why Sabrina had not found him charming was because she wasn't involved in his activities. Carl loved to play catch with his favorite red ball, so he rolled it over to Sabrina. She sniffed it and walked away. Carl also liked to play chase. It was one of his favorite games, so surely Sabrina would love it too. That evening, he waited for Sabrina to come into the kitchen to eat her tuna. Then he surprised her and chased her around the kitchen. They ran around and around until Sabrina bolted for the door and escaped upstairs. She was so angry that she hid in the closet and didn't come out for 1 week. At first, Carl was surprised and confused, but when Sabrina finally came out of hiding, he only felt sorry. Apologetically, Carl took her out shopping and promised to buy her whatever she wanted. But Sabrina was not impressed with anything in the store. Carl took her to a funny movie, but Sabrina didn't like the movie or laugh once. Carl took her to a dance club, but Sabrina refused to dance. The DJ wasn't playing music that she liked. Sabrina remained in the corner all night with her black dress and sunglasses on, sipping her cocktail. She couldn't wait to get back home so she could finish reading her book on existentialist philosophy. Carl took Sabrina's dismissal of him very personally. He became sad and howled at the moon in frustration. He wanted her to like him. One day, he became sick with a cold. He lay in bed, sneezing and coughing. He had a fever and felt miserable. His sore throat hurt so badly he couldn't even bark. That afternoon, Sabrina softly knocked on his door and asked if she could come in. He permitted her to enter, but thought she would go to the window because that was her favorite window for bird watching. Instead, she placed a cold towel on Carl's feverish head. She placed a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice on the nightstand along with a bowl of chicken noodle soup that she had made herself. Then she did something that shocked Carl. She took her paws and began to press them into his back to massage his sore muscles. She began to purr. She curled up next to Carl to keep him company through his sickness. When Carl was feeling well again, he asked Sabrina why she had been so kind to him. He didn't think they were friends at all. Sabrina explained that she empathized with suffering. When Sabrina was a kitten, she had lived with an old woman whom she loved very much. They were so happy together. However, the old woman died and Sabrina was forced to live with the old woman's evil nephew. He did not care about Sabrina and forgot to feed her. He would leave her outside in the rain for days. Sabrina became weak, depressed, and hungry. The evil nephew finally told Sabrina to go away, and she was left to fight for herself in the streets. Sabrina had to develop tough skin to survive. For a long time, she didn't trust anyone. In fact, she admitted that she was still learning to trust. Sabrina explained that she didn't trust flashy presentations, talent, or games. Instead, she could only trust after she witnessed one's true self. Carl wagged his tail happily, realizing that this was exactly what he had needed to hear. He understood why all of his big plans would never have earned Sabrina's friendship. Likewise, Sabrina realized this was what she had needed to say from the start, and that showing Carl her true self was just as important for them to become friends. Fortunately, from that moment on, Carl and Sabrina celebrated their differences. Carl dug his holes while Sabrina napped. Carl remained an optimist while Sabrina still rolled her eyes at everything. The magic was that they realized in every moment how they were each other's medicine.